Meeting called to order. Time now is 7:01. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the business administrator, board secretary, has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call.
Joseph Carr.
Here.
Alex Clavijo.
Here.
Michael Doyle.
Here.
Jennifer Ehrentraut. Here. Abigail Goff. Here. Erica Mulkey-Colson. Here. Anthony Palouse.
Here.
Giselle Vega.
Here.
Marco Totaro.
Here. All rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and or directly related to the operation of the school district. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments and questions shall be addressed to the board president or the presiding officer, and shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. The board may or may not respond to issues raised by members of the public at the time they are raised, but will provide a response if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to speak during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with the district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm that the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. Public be heard, agenda items only. Seeing none. We have approval of the minutes for September 23rd, 2025 work session, regular meeting. Motion.
Second.
Motion by Joe Carr, seconded by Ms. Mulkey-Colson. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Ehrentraut.
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey-Colson.
Yes.
Mr. Palouse.
Yes.
Dr. Vega.
Yes.
Mr. Carr.
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo.
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Mr. Totaro.
Yes. Correspondence? Correspondence? All right. Moving on to reports. Student Council Representative Report. Jonathan Barbarosi.
Good evening, everybody. Since we last met, HHS has followed up with various spirit-raising activities to keep the positive momentum for the beginning of the year going farther into the first marking period. Things such as our class competitive spirit week last week between grades and our annual fall fest this year being a block party for all grades to enjoy. Also, as we progress into the fall season, clubs, sports, and the meeting center have all started to make their impact on the environment as well as the lives of students and staff here at Hawthorne High School. So far, fall sports have had their ups and downs, but with the season slowly approaching their end, the Bears remain optimistic for the rest of their games and/or matches. To start, all sports have succeeded in their own ways, rather record-wise or improvement-wise, showing growth as the season progresses. Moreover, on September 26th, football, cheerleading, marching band, and tennis had their senior nights, and volleyball had theirs on October 7th in homage to their senior student athletes of the class of 2026. As well as senior night, that football game was a gold out for pediatric cancer, where the weeks beforehand, junior Ella Alberta organized the selling of gold shirts and ribbons for people to wear the day of to show their support for the cause. Furthermore, on October 10th, our homecoming football game took place with not only students and parents present, but also was one of the stops for the graduating class of 1970 for their 55th reunion. To start clubs and extracurriculars. To start as they were in September, the student and class councils have been busy at work with our block party and homecoming week, getting a multitude of students involved for our Beartober festivities. Starting with the block party on October 1st, students got to indulge in food and ice cream trucks, take part in various backyard games with their friends, pieing a teacher and or senior Charlie Mankey in the face, and our 2025-2026 school year homecoming court was announced. Then the next week was the week of homecoming, where grades were put in a competition against one another for our outfit-themed days throughout the week, as well as our annual hallway decorating contest that Thursday night. On a different note, the other clubs have also started to take part in various events. For example, the Share Club has kicked off the year with their Candy for a Cause fundraiser, with all the profits going to help a teacher within the Hawthorne Public School District. With all this happening, a plethora of clubs, including the Performing Arts Club, Spanish Club, and many more, have attended both Hawthorne Day as well as the Hispanic Heritage Festival, performing and or running a stand to branch art influence farther than the school walls in the Media Center. Recently, numerous national events such as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, National Hispanic Heritage Month, National Italian American Month, and more, as well as numerous holidays such as Yom Kippur and Diwali, have been put into the spotlight throughout the weeks in our media center to broaden the views and knowledge of our students day by day. Along with this, Mrs. DiGeronimo is putting together her freshman library orientation, teaching them all that is possible and available to them in the media center. Since our last meeting, HHS has been busy at work in all areas around the school to make the 2025-2026 school year a memorable one for all. And as always, I thank you for your time and attention, and await our next meeting to share what HHS has been up to throughout the year, and I wish everyone a happy fall and Halloween. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, now to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Jonathan. As Jonathan mentioned, October brings a number of exciting events to our district. Our schools recently completed the Week of Respect and School Spirit Week, culminating with homecoming. It was my first year experiencing the annual hallway decorating competition, and I was truly impressed by the incredible creativity and effort our students put into their displays. Their work reflects their deep pride they take in their schools. It was also wonderful to see our boys football team pull off a thrilling homecoming night victory in front of a spirited crowd. This month, our district would also participate in the new Cambria field test, which is being administered in grades 5 through 8 for English Language Arts and Mathematics, as well as grade 11 for Mathematics. The result of this field test will help the state refine future NJSLA assessments. This test does not affect student grades. The results are not reported for individual students, schools, or districts. It's not used for accountability purposes. The NJDOE uses the data to ensure the questions are fair, reliable, and aligned with state standards before they appear on future state assessments. Yesterday, we held our full staff professional development day, and I want to take a moment to recognize the outstanding work of our administrative team. The sessions they led demonstrated their deep expertise, commitment, and desire to ensure our teachers are equipped with the best instructional practices. Their leadership directly supports our mission to provide the highest quality education for all students, and I'm incredibly proud of their efforts. I also want to highlight and celebrate the inspiring work of Ella Alberta, a junior at Hawthorne High School. Ella continues to make an incredible impact in raising awareness and funds in support of pediatric cancer research through the Tackle Kids Cancer organization. This year, Ella and her team designed and sold gold Hawthorne Bears Go Gold for Pediatric Cancer t-shirts, which were worn proudly by staff, students, and parents throughout our community. Last year, Ella raised $3,111, and this year she more than doubled that, raising $6,892. She's already set her sights on a goal of $10,000 for next year, and I have no doubt she will achieve it. Ella's compassion and leadership are truly remarkable and a reflection of the values we aim to instill in our students. I'm also required to share our school HIV grades report as outlined in the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. These grades reflect schools' self-assessments of its implementation of the state's anti-bullying policies and programs. So during the month of September, the administrators and school safety team in each building completed the required comprehensive self-assessment of the building's programs, initiatives, and procedures for investigating and reporting. The self-assessment process included the gathering of documentation to evidence the ratings provided. The self-assessment consists of 8 core elements, each with 2 to 5 indicators to be reviewed. Schools could receive a score of 0, which does not meet the requirements. 1 partially meets the requirements, 2 meets the requirements, or 3 exceeds all requirements. So all 4 buildings scored above the 50 points required to meet all state requirements in this area. The maximum score a building can achieve is a 78, which would mean that the district exceeded all requirements in all indicators of every core element. The chart I have in front of me shows that Hawthorne High School scored 76, Lincoln Middle School 72, Roosevelt 74, Washington Elementary is 70, and Jefferson is 69. All of this just shows our commitment as a district to be preventative and to be supportive of our student population. So this year, we're looking to enhance our existing programs. So ongoing training will be provided to students and staff on the BOE-approved HIV policy, reporting procedures, and preventative strategies exceeding the required 2 hours. This will include large and small group presentations on preventing HIV and using the updated reporting form via Hipster, which is what we use as a district. Staff will also receive training via Safe Schools and from the anti-bullying specialist. We also do SEL lessons. We have our Week of Respect, Violence Prevention Week, and Red Ribbon Week. We're also going to increase communication, training, and support and guidance for our school anti-bullying specialists. And we're going to continue to participate in programs like Heroes and Cool Kids and No Place for Hate. And most excitingly, one of the events that brings us together tonight, and I'm proud to see that we have many members of our staff here. I'd like to take a moment to recognize an employee who has reached a remarkable milestone, 25 years of service and education, which I like to refer to as a quarter century of service and education.
You didn't really have to do that.
That's a long time to work in education. So we are deeply proud of her dedication and the positive impact she continues to have on our school community. So Sherry, I'm going to ask you to stand up as I read this to you. A representative of your school, you could probably guess who. Sherry is an integral and deeply valued member of our preschool program known for her kindness, thoughtfulness, and determination. She's a true friend and caring colleague who always goes above and beyond to support students, families, and staff. Sherry excels at communicating with parents, especially during IEP meetings, and takes time to ensure their questions are answered and they feel at ease. She frequently organizes events, plans meaningful trips, and finds special ways to make others feel appreciated, even celebrating birthdays. A passionate advocate for her students and their families, Sherry's dedication, warmth, and expertise make our preschool a better place for everyone. So if we can all join in. And we're going to ask anybody that's here for Sherry to come on up because we're going to take a picture with the board and the staff members that are here. Congratulations. Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
How's it going? How's it going? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. How are you? Nice to see you. If I think we're all going to go on stage and take a picture together. If everybody's comfortable with that, come on up.
How are you? Good.
Team, are you good to take a picture? Yeah. You too. We're all good.
Oh.
Figured it out.
This is where you want to take it. All right. Right in the center. Don't let it away.
Actually, I'm going to do it. Can you get everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have a hand for it.
Say heat.
All right, ready? One, two, three. One more, 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you.
You all came to the meeting, I'm sure.
It does? It's dark. Oh, it's done. Oh, good. That's awesome. It's a spotlight.
Thank you. So you're more than welcome to stay for our district testing report. If you don't want to stay, completely understand.
That's thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. All right, so finally, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Cabona, who will now present our annual district testing report. We have some very encouraging results to share this evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again for letting me share some great news. As I shared with you in July, I've been looking forward to this night. It's really nice to finally culminating and see some of the stuff that has been like chipping away at everything for the past couple of years. A little of the basics is, here's our required assessments. We've already reported on the bottom two in July, which was our high school assessment GPA and our Access for L's English language learners. Tonight I'm going to share some information, dive deeper into our NJSLA for English language arts and science, mainly and math, mainly focusing on English language arts and math grades 3 through 9 in our Algebra 1 course. We're also going to show some great trends that we have in our dynamic learning maps, which is for our most severely special ed population. As you know, the purpose of this is to answer 3 questions. We're constantly looking at where we are, where we're going, and what the trend has been. Looking at data in isolation paints a picture, but it doesn't paint a very pretty picture sometimes. So what you're going to see now is kind of how everything has been falling into place, and that snowball is going down the mountain, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and our gains are getting bigger as well. We're also going to compare ourselves to the state. That is something we're required to do, and I'm proud to do tonight. You know, we've always teetered around the state. We're going to be exceeding that in most areas tonight. And one of the big focuses post-CUSAC for us and being on our district improvement plan was targeting our subgroup populations, and we're going to see some great gains in that. Just a quick review, ELA is students grades 3 through 9, math is 3 through 8, and then those enrolled in Algebra 1 or geometry in grade 9 because they're testing up through grade 9. NJL Science is 5, 8, and 11. And then DLM, they take 3 through 8, and then in grade 11, and they take that in both ELA, math, and science. So our district overview is pretty nice. As you can see, it's all shades of purple, but the 2 that are circled, looking ELA on the left and math on the right, is our proficiency rates of 4s and 5s. So we are over 50% in ELA, well over 50%. In ELA, we're at 61% right now of students achieving a 4 or a 5, which is considered passing, and in math, we are looking at a 41%. What's really nice is to look at our trends, and that's what I wanted to say. In the past 3 years, our overall district has gone from a 55% to a 61% in ELA, and if you look all the way to the right, we've taken our students who've exceeded the standard, those are those that have gotten a 5. We went from 140 students in district to 187 in district, just looking at the 5. That's not counting everybody else who may have moved a level. Looking at math, we're still making gains as well. We went from a 34% in 2023 up to a 41%, and we went from 39 students exceeding the standard to 54 students exceeding the standard. So for overall as a district, our trends are trending in the right direction. When we dig deeper, this is our comparison to the state. Obviously Hawthorne's blue, state is purple. We are exceeding the state in every grade level, except for 9th grade, which I will explain in a minute why that's kind of a little bit of a skewed data point. Even in 4th grade, you're gonna see the 4th grade test this year. We're in line with the state. It is our only area that we dipped a little bit, but it seems that that could have been a test irregularity. It could have been, not an irregularity, but kind of like a testing moment in question base. It could have been the cohort of students, because we're still in line with the state, even though that you're gonna see a slight dip in our scores. Going over to the 9th grade, it's hard for us to do a true comparison of where we are because of the number of students that we lose from 8th grade to 9th grade. So when we're looking at all of these other percentages, we're basically comparing 190 students, approximately per grade level. We're dropping to about 130 to 135. So obviously our percentage is dramatically decreasing in 9th grade. So it puts us at a little deficit. But we're going to show our own internal growth in 9th grade where we can. Again, it's hard to compare apples to oranges when the apples go someplace else and we only have oranges left. So apples and oranges will come back in a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to dig deeper into our grade levels. As you can see, we're comparing 2024 on the right, on the left to 2025. We're at 50 to 75% in grades 3 through 7. 8th grade, we're at a 66.7%. We're steadily increasing. 9th grade, we have that drop. So 2 things I'm going to note here. Every grade level besides 4 and 9, we increased our number of students who are meeting or exceeding the standard. For the 4th grade, that's really a non-negotiable number when you're looking at data. And the reason it is that is if you dig in deeper, in 2024, we had 158 students taking the 4th grade test. And I believe, let me just check my notes so I quote myself correctly, we had 86 of those students achieving a 4 or a 5. When we jumped to 2025, that 4th grade class turned into 171 students. We had 92 exceeding the standard. So we increased our number exceeding, but our base population is lower, which gives us that slight dip. Statistically speaking, from a math standpoint, that's a non-negotiable. That's basically a flat rate, and we should be looking at our total number of students hitting a 4 or a 5, where we've increased from 86 to 92. Again, for that 9th grade number, it's hard to compare because you're changing your population, you're changing your kids that you're looking at, and we're still within a 42 to 38%. We're averaging around the same base, but we don't know what subset of students we're losing in 9th grade, so we can't really accurately compare year to year to year because our population is changing. This one is really nice. So this last column is our cohort growth. So when we were looking at the 4th grade test, just to say, we were looking at students in 4th grade in 2024, and then a different set of students in 4th grade in 2025, and we're kind of comparing how they did on that test. What we did in this last column was we are starting to track students from year to year. So as you can see, we can't do anything in 3rd grade because that's the first year they're taking that test, but in 4th grade, our 3rd graders, from taking their 3rd grade test in 2024 to taking their 4th grade test in 2025, increased by 11.68%. So that cohort of students had a huge jump. If you follow that down, you're showing the same trend. Our 4th to 5th graders went 11.1%. Our 5th to 6th graders, which was a targeted area we spoke about last year. If you remember, we were worried about the number of minutes in math. We were worried about how we were going to do that. I know this is ELA, but that was a subgroup that we targeted. We increased by 18.9%. So that subset of students, from when they took it in 5th grade to when they took it in 6th grade, we knew what to look for. And you can see it. And as you get older, or as the kids get more used to it, you're gonna see a little bit less growth. It's not accurate for me to put a number up for the 9th grade, from the 8th to 9th grade, because again, I'm not looking at the same subset of students. One of the requirements, because we are in a CUSAC look back year, is we have to compare schools. So the only schools we really need to compare are our 3 elementaries, as that's the same subset population. So looking at 3rd grade ELA, if we're continuing to look at the 2 darker shades of purple, we are pretty much across the board accurate with this. There is a slight non-negotiable smaller amount in Washington, but again, that is something that we've always seen. If we dig deeper into our subgroups and the populations, our ML populations in ELA, that's going to be a factor, and we'll talk about that in a second, because you'll see that trend doesn't stay the same for math. For 4th grade, again, slightly lower in Washington, but overall our trends are the same. You can see we have a huge population in Roosevelt of obtaining the 4s with a lesser of the 5s, where Jefferson had a smaller amount in the 4s but a greater amount in the 5s. It's balancing itself out to a slight percentage difference. 5th grade, same thing. So again, we're making that mark, we're making those trends, because when, like I said, 8 years ago, those purples were tiny in the, I used to use red, yellow, and green, but they were tiny in the slot. Demographic data, so these are our subgroups that is really important for us to look at, and I think we're always, and listen, they give us data on so many subgroups. The ones that I think it's important for us to highlight are white compared to our Hispanic, which are our 2 largest populations. We want to look at our economically disadvantaged, our student with disabilities, and our ML students. So going across the grade levels, that was our percents this year. If you notice, our Hispanic students are doing right on par with where we were as a district, which is a gain from last year. So we normally saw that that was a targeted subgroup that sometimes we could not meet the needs of, or that we knew that we had to target more to meet those needs. And again, our students with disabilities, except for 2 outliers in 3rd and 9th grade, we have had an increase in that. So what I'm going to do now, and I started talking about apples and oranges, is I want to look at our subsets by grade level, meaning looking at how they did on how different students did on a grade level test. And what this allows us to do is look at our curricular implementation of it. What are we doing in the classroom? When are we teaching things? How are kids learning? It has nothing to do with the actual students taking the test. So when we compare this, we're looking at the same grade level, different students. Every place there is a blue is where we've increased from last year. The number in blue is where we were last year, the new number being in black. So if you look at our Hispanic population, or our Hispanic subgroup, in all but 5th and 7th grade, we've increased by a significant amount. If you look at our economically disadvantaged, in all but 5th grade, we've increased by a significant amount. Students with disabilities, we really targeted that 6th grade level because of those transition services. There was a big emphasis looking at what were we going to do with kids, how were we going to target them, how are we going to prepare them for middle school, and you can see our gains there. We did not have any gains in our ML population. The reason that is not broken down by grade level and it's giving you a 9% overall is because of our numbers. Most of the subgroups are less than 10, and it's identifiable if I start identifying numbers per subgroup. It's also important for us to look oranges to oranges. Let's look at how our particular subgroup of students went year to year. So what I'm doing now is in the next chart, same idea, orange to orange. I'm comparing my students, same set of students, allows us to look at students' growth. Anywhere there is blue, our student subgroups increased from last year, which is everything but students with disabilities in 5th and 8th grade. So every targeted population where we used our data days to dig down deeper and look particularly at our students in ELA and really refine our instruction based on student needs and data, we increased by a significant amount. The same thing's going to come through, so I'll go through this pretty quickly. You can see the numbers in front of you. It's going to be the same trend for math. When we're looking, okay, there we go. When we're looking overall, we are below 50%, so our numbers are a little bit lower. If you're looking, we still exceed the state in everything but Math 8. Now you have to remember, Math 8 is another different, Math 8 Algebra 1 and Geometry. So that's where our students start to shift. That's where we start to lose our students. And that's where we have some of our students in 8th grade taking this and some of our students in high school. The 8th grade math test is a very unique test because not all kids in 8th grade are taking the 8th grade math test. As you know, our accelerated students are enrolled in Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So they're 8th grade students who are put into our data for ELA, but in math, they're put into the Algebra 1 data. They're not put into the 8th grade. So you're talking about our lowest subset sometimes of students. So that is an area that needs some focus. When we look at this, again, you can see for the most part a steady increase. We do see that dip in 4th grade. That dip, again, it's a little larger than we saw in the ELA, but still when we're talking about our numbers, we're comparing 172 students to 158 students. So we stayed about the same in the number of students who reached proficiency. We went from 80 to 82. So even though we had more students testing, we didn't drop the number of students that actually achieved a 4 or a 5 on it. So it's a blip in the data. If you look at Algebra 1 in the middle school versus Algebra 1 in the high school, again, you're looking at a different subset of students. Your Algebra 1 8th graders, you're talking about 30 students that take it. They're the highest level students. That's why they're averaging a 90.5% pass rate on it. Whereas your Algebra 1 students in the high school now, you're taking a lot of these students out, you're moving a smaller number to the high school, and then you're testing them on this. We do know that is an area we need to focus on, but we jump right back up when we get to our geometry kids, so we're okay there. So as you notice, like the Algebra 1 is really not where I'm looking, but if you look at our 9th grade algebra, when we look at cohort growth, we increased 5.7%. So even though we only had a 14% pass rate, when those kids took 8th grade math to when they took the Algebra 1 in 9th grade, they increased by 5.7%. So we did target them, even though sometimes the data doesn't show that without explanation. You'll also see that for the most part, we had an increase. We did have that little bit of a dip in math, 5 to 6. But that's, again, we're still working through the scheduling piece and trying to figure out where the minutes could come to play. Here's where I say you're going to see Washington catch right back up and be on par, because a lot of times our ML students are not impacted as much in the math course as they are in an ELA course, and you're putting Washington right back on the bar to equal or beating out other schools within their 4s and 5s. For 3rd grade, 4th grade, that's our blip year. We know this. There's something going on in the 4th grade. We're targeting that this year with the 5th grade because that's where those kids are, to make sure we're digging deep so that we don't see this trend again. And then in the 5th grade, this was our hugest increase in math, which was pretty impressive for Washington School. Washington School last year by itself was at a 22% pass rate, and now they had 40% in just their 4s. If I'm reading that correctly, it's a little blurry from here. But the teachers at Washington really took it to heart and dug into the data and endured and worked with the students. For math with our subgroups, again, we're pretty on par. You'll see we're in the 40 to 50% range. We have some outliers, again, that grade 3 students with disabilities. One of the pieces with that, I truly believe, is the first time of exposure to the test, where a student with a disability in an LLD or a resource class, it's a little overwhelming. What we're doing now is we're putting more stuff into place into the K-1-2 LLD and resource to model that for them, so that when that 3rd grader first has that test for the first time, it's not that bad of a baseline. But that dip is there. When we are comparing now, again, same grade level, different students, apples to oranges, we have a ton of blue again. So when you dig deeper into our data, you're seeing that we're continually making strides. Go back to that 4th grade group that had a blip. Our economically disadvantaged students went from 38.9% to 50% pass rate on that. When you look at that subset of students, you look at the Hispanic students, it was a slight increase, it was a 10% increase. You can't ask for more than a 10% increase in a 1-year gain on a course level. When we look at the same subset of students also, we are all blue except for 2 areas of students with disability. So again, even though our data might not be where we want it to be, we were still below the 50% in that, we're getting there. And some of our subgroups are well exceeding that 50% average when you put us all together collectively. And I stand out to say, 6th grade math had a drop when we looked at it overall, but the subset of students who took it from 5th grade to 6th grade, if you were Hispanic, you increased yourself. If you were white, you increased yourself. If you were economically disadvantaged, you increased yourself. So we are targeting them, and it's working. The interventions overall, so you know that this year we got rid of Renaissance Star 360. We brought in iReady Universal Screener with their accompanying MyPath planning intervention system. That is for K through 12. So there's diagnostics put in there. There's grade level appropriate tasks that students work on, and there's individualized tasks. So one part of the training yesterday was the next deep into that of how the math and language arts teachers need to implement that. And the research shows that 40 minutes a week per subject on this platform increases student achievement. So even our kindergarten students are doing about 15, 20 minutes a day. They come in from recess, they get their iPads, they're going on MyPath, and they're playing educational games that are targeting their specific skills. The nice part is the teacher can also assign a task that's what they're working on. Let's say it's counting 0 to 5. So maybe Monday they're working on their own skills and Tuesday they're working on 0 to 5 skills. You do that 4 days a week, you just expose without even bringing this home 40 minutes a week per subject. And that's the recommended dose. So we're hoping that this is going to continue to increase our scores. As you know, we constantly do tweaks to our standards-based grading system and task analysis, updated pacing guides. As much as the resistance was last year, our data is supporting this. So yes, it's hard for parents not to get the 80, the 90, but when they're getting more students being proficient or exceeding proficiency on state exams, we know that we're meeting those standards. Our district data day program is thriving because of this, and I truly put a lot of emphasis of the work that the teachers did in these data days in digging in, looking at data, and refining their instruction. They were coached by the admin team, but it was their internal drive, and the excitement they saw when we shared this with them on the first day, they felt rejuvenated. They felt like their work paid off. And I will even say yesterday, Mrs. Pissarro called me and said, you know, one of the teachers came back to Washington during the lunch break and was so happy she was still looking in at her data because she wants to do this again. She found a standard she wants to work on. So that's changing the mindset, changing the shift, changing the culture. In the middle school, so we've had our lab courses, I'm kind of flip-flopping around, we've had our lab courses in ELA and math for 6 through 12. Some of them are through the study halls in the high school, some of them are through the elective periods in the middle school. What Mrs. Dever and Mr. Bird did this year was they realized that if you were 2 years in a particular intervention course or a lab course, doubling up on this and still struggling, not making the gains, our scheduling and our title funds allowed us to make a small core class, meaning let's put 12 students that are having the same difficulties in a class. It is their regular math course. We are not going to torture them with a second one because that intervention really wasn't working for them. But what it allows is small group instruction on a mainstream math course, and they now can dig in deeper and differentiate to what it is. So it's an intervention that if budget had it, you would love all your classes to be 12 with a core teacher. But we are piloting this in 8th grade. If this works, we're going to have to figure out a way to mirror that down. And finally, we continue with some of our reading programs, which are Learning Ally and Excite Reading. All of the data is showing that a student will be able to comprehend if they can read along and listen, and that is a big thing. So Learning Ally, which we continue to receive through a state grant, has been an asset. It makes students' summer reading go quick. It makes students in 6 through 12 just their regular reading. You know, we're reading Macbeth, and I can't read that because I can't understand it. It makes no sense. You're listening to it while you read along, or even you're just listening to it. Now you're able to engage into the content of critically analyzing it in that discussion, and you take that barrier of reading away from it. Not that reading isn't important, but if we're measuring other skills, we don't want the reading piece to be a barrier to it. Science, as a science teacher, it hurts me to do this, but I'm going to preface this with, we made huge gains in 5th grade in science. 5th grade, I don't know why I did this backwards, is all the way to the right. So if you see Light blue is 2024, that purpley blue is 25, and the yellowy green is the state. So our fifth graders who don't know that the science test does not count for anything are actually starting to do well on it. But as soon as they get to 8th and 11th grade and they know that there is nothing in their graduation requirement pathway, there is nothing in their course pathway, there is nothing in their placement pathway, we are having trouble getting students to actually sit down and take that test seriously. It is done at the end of the testing window. They've already done the GPA test, they've already done NJSLA, and a lot of them have already done AP tests, and I mean, we're below the state, but unfortunately, we have to figure out ways to invest more in that. It's a hard pill to swallow because there's no stakes tied to it. And sometimes, like, when there's no stakes tied to it, getting into a 16-year-old's head, a 15-year-old's head, a 10-year-old's head, it doesn't work. My own children will be taking it this year, and I will cry if, as a science teacher, they don't do well. As you know, our dynamic learning maps, again, I cannot do this data individualized by grade level because of the identifying nature of this, but basically this is our STEPS and ARCH program. So as you know, in Washington School this year alone, we have 5 STEPS classes. We have 2 sections of ARCH at the middle school and 1 section of ARCH at the high school. With that, I give you the total number of students testing. We increased in both ELA, math, and science. If you see, our ARCH students like science a lot of times because that's hands-on and more concrete for them. They increased by 40%. We had 0 passing the prior year. We had 40% passing this year, which is awesome. What this is showing us is Mr. Sarah and I are digging into this data because, as you know, there's a 1% gap, 1% cap on the number of students who can qualify for the DLM. So we are in a state audit because we are over that 1% cap. We house a higher special ed population than our neighboring towns. We're about 23 to 25%, where your average in the state is 16 to 18%. So what we're doing is we have a larger population of students that are severely disabled. We're not going to not give them this test just because we don't hit our 1%. So we go over it. We are being audited for it. We have our data to show it. But what we are showing is that our programming is working. So what we are showing is that when this test directly aligns to our ABLEs, to our goals and objectives, we can then satisfy the state's requirement of why we're there. That's it. It's a little chilly. I tried to go quick. Questions? Yes.
Can you repeat what you just said about the state with the DLM versus us? You said only 1%.
So the DLM, the state basically feels that 1% of your population, of your special ed population, should be your most severely and should qualify for the DLM, because there is a whole kind of like rubric checklist, like it's kind of like a matrix, like if yes, you move to this column, if yes, you move here. So they have to have certain disabilities to qualify them for that.
That's 1% for the whole state, not.
No, for our district,
Right.
1% of our
Everything is
district,
1%?
yes,
No matter how many special ed students you have.
correct. It's
Our
supposed to be
percentage
1,
doesn't matter.
well, it's 1% of your special ed population. So we're at a 23%, let's say we have 500.
That's for Paramus and Fair.
That's a state law, yes.
1%.
They have 1% of their population, yes. And they get audited if you go over that. So it's just that we're not going to make a child take the wrong test to stay within the 1%. So we're willing to put the child in the right test, defend our answer, defend our programming, and show them the IEP, the diagnosis, the ABLEs, the goals and objectives when they come into audit.
It's not something like QSAC would like score us on, or we would.
It's in Mr. Sarah, it is in Mr. Sarah's monitoring, which it goes hand in hand with QSAC monitoring, so.
But if you have that data and documents and IEPs and goals and all these things to show,
We have yes, so we keep doing stuff. Mr. Sarah and I have a meeting on December 16th. We had to pull all the data for these students. We pull the IEP, we pull their records. They come into audit. They are going to approve it because we are doing everything by the book, but it's just that extra step we have to go through.
Thank you.
So I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but thank you for everything, first and foremost. I really appreciate it. As a parent, it's kind of, in a lot of these groups, it's nice to see, and I appreciate all the hard work, and that we are making strides in all the areas. One thing that you touched on towards the end is with small learning groups.
Mhm.
I know that's been huge with my own children as well. As we move to iReady and with like adaptive learning, will that be real-time information accessible to then share within those subgroups as well to hone in with those smaller groups? Or-
Okay, so I'm gonna take that in two parts. So when we look at our iReady, yes, our iReady data is constantly active. We can log in at any point, we can see the number of minutes, we can see when the student's on, we can see what questions they got right, what questions they got wrong. The teachers are trained in looking at that and analyzing that. The principals and I are trained in overseeing and making sure that teachers are with fidelity, having them do that extra time per minute. Because again, we have to balance screen time versus not, but this is like a huge piece of differentiation that when your child takes that test, they get their My Path, which says like on 2-digit multiplication, they're not proficient in 5th grade. So it's gonna take them all the way back to like a 3rd grade lesson, teach them that, bring them to the complementary 4th grade standard and catch them up to 5th grade. So that's why it's so important for them to be on that for that time. These games are quick, these lessons are quick, they're engaging. That's why the platform is like that. So yes, on the part with that. When you said adaptive, are you speaking of the new state assessment that's coming out?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't know what the data is going to be like with the adaptive nature on it right now. So the training that I went to just says that it's going to be adaptive. One of the questions I asked at the state level at my county meeting last week was, will the children or the students in the field test see the adaptive nature? The answer is no. Since the field test is only to measure question quality control and ensure that questions are aligned to the correct grade levels and contents, every student's gonna get the same test, like the same questions like always. So I'm not sure, honestly, how the adaptive nature is going to play out in grade and performance reporting moving forward.
Thank you.
No problem.
Two things, well, three things. First of all, thank you. Always a pleasure. This year is increasingly upbeat. I'm happy to see so much great information. We're so appreciative for you and your team, and the deep dives that you do, and also the remediation strategies that you offer. Clearly something's working. We're very thankful. Something I'd like to point out is piggybacking off of something that you said. The 9th graders that you speak about in this data is my daughter, though she's a sophomore now. That's her class. So I can speak to the cohort of students that we lost. And for anybody that doesn't know, everybody, anywhere you would go outside of Hawthorne requires an application. There's a process. So they're certainly not going to take people who are not appealing. I'll leave it at that. So we are losing a decently capable group of people, at the very least. Not only to PCTI, but also to the programs, because they're all application processes, every single one of them. Something else I'd like to point out, and I've pointed out every single year since 2020, though they had us do those rigorous Start Smart, whatever those tests were at the beginning of those years, they did not use that data to change these assessments in any way to reflect the learning loss of COVID. And as someone who writes IEPs, someone who studies educational data and evaluations all day long, it is a shame. Because honestly, we've not caught up. No one has caught up. That's global. It's not possible. They've not adapted the tests at all. They've not adapted the standards at all. And I really think that needs to be continually pointed out until this cohort of kindergartners, the kindergartners this year were born in 2020, until they're all the way in college, I don't think we're really going to see a true measure of learning, because
there's so many outside factors that play into the data. So like from a data perspective, like you look at good data and bad data. So the data that I have is not good data, but it's the data that I have to present.
Right.
Being that how many kids were out, how many kids were hybrid for certain years, and what grade levels was it a core foundational for fluency that you didn't get that's now gonna not impact you. Fluency in multiplication isn't gonna pick you up again until Algebra 1 when you're starting to do logistics and linear formulas. So you're right, something that could be a deficit in 3rd grade, you might not pick up on again until 7th, 8th pre-algebra world.
yeah, it's very frustrating that the state does not take accountability on that side. And it's not just New Jersey. I don't know of a state that used data from those early assessments to actually pivot and change standards or change the assessment. But in any event. Thank you very much for all that you guys do.
I actually just have two questions.
Sure, no
I guess piggybacking off of Abby's comment. So we're talking about specifically the fourth grade blip. I understand that there has been, tests being done, trying to catch them up, and we still haven't been able to catch our now fifth graders up to the standard, right? What are we doing, or are we using that data to target that particular class or that particular cohort?
So there's two different things here. When we see the fourth grade blip, that's looking at comparing that's comparing the apples to oranges. So that's comparing fourth grade test to fourth grade test, different students. When we look at our cohort data for a second, and I'm just gonna go back real quick for a minute to ELA first. If we look at our cohort comparison, that fourth graders went up 10%, 53 to 61. So the actual subset of students themselves as a cohort are increasing, and we're targeting them. But when you looked at the comparison of the kids that took the fourth grade test last year to the kids that took the fourth grade test this year, there was a deficit, and that's even in the state. And that's why we're saying, was there something wrong? I don't like the word wrong, and it keeps coming out, but was there something off with the test? Like, what were the metrics on the tests? Because that's where quality control should be coming in and saying, like, look, across an evidence statement, 77 of our kids got this question wrong, but in Patterson, 177 got it wrong. That question should not be on moving forward. So that's what we're starting to do, because in our evidence statement, we can look at questions and stuff like that. But for the subset of kids who are currently fifth graders, they are making individual gains. So it's that blip in our comparison to the state, which is more when we're comparing the grade level test and looking at curricular stuff, rather than the subset of students that are in fifth grade. Because as you can see here in the ELA, and I'm just gonna jump to the math too, orange is to oranges. Fourth grade, 39.5 to 49%.
Okay.
So they're making some gains there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for,
No.
I was confused for a second.
And that's what happens is, like, you're looking at it from two lenses, but we're saying 24 to 25, fourth grade to fourth grade. It doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to break it down as easy. But yes, we are looking, and what we're looking now, one of the things that we just picked up on yesterday, and it was fourth grade, there was something had to do with structure of like plays and sonnets and poetry, and we're like, but we teach this, and we teach this in April, this should be right beforehand. And then we pull up the evidence statement and the actual type of questions. We teach it in isolation, so we teach like a subset of what a poetry thing is and what a play thing is, and the question is combining them. Well, of course we're not going to get that question right, because we've never showed them anything that combines them. We're teaching it, we're meeting the standard, but when you go to the question, that was something we literally learned at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday. So we are constantly looking at things like that.
And then my second question, so I know my daughter loves it. She loves it, and she enjoys doing it. It's not a chore, it's not
like going to IXL, yes.
Yeah, it's not school, it's actually fun. My question is, as a parent, are we getting, or are we supposed to be getting any reports or updates with those? Because I want to make sure I know
So
what you
the
guys-
way that we've done it as a district to roll it out this year is that upon parent request, we will be happy to send the reports home. I wish I had one to pull up right now. The problem is the reports look alarming sometimes, because what they're showing you is projected growth. So when you get a report and it's saying your child is an emerging fifth grader in this skill, but their projected growth is up here, you're seeing this huge gap that's not an actual gap. So we were very hesitant to send these forms home with information that would have been alarming. So we're working to try to figure out the best way. So I know at conferences, they are going to be sharing like iReady data in terms of emerging and stuff like that for the elementary levels. And again, as a district, we consulted with some of our neighbors, and we said, like, right now we're going to stick with that parent request, which any parent, the principals know that, any parent that requests it, we will send it home. We have a detailed letter, but sometimes it needs a sit down, like one-to-one, to really understand it. But you can always just reach out to your child's teacher. There is a 4 families report. Just realize there's a gap, even though that gap doesn't mean that there's a learning loss.
Okay, perfect, that's good to know, thank you.
No problem.
The presentation is very encouraging. You know, when you join the school board, you're looking for growth in, different areas. And, you're taught to learn the long game.
Yeah.
And in this specific facet, you definitely, it's the one that takes the longest. So
Yeah.
it's very rewarding to see that, the work that you've done, that this team has done, the work that's been done by previous teams that it
Yeah.
gets built on, and there's, that there's positive results coming out as a result. So.
We're finally tipping the scale. It's like you can't see it, and then all of a sudden you start going over the mountain, and we're gaining that momentum.
So thank you.
No, thank you.
I like that better, going over the mountain instead of going down the mountain, you said before.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm thinking of the snowball picking up lots of speed.
Snowball down the mountain. I have a question.
Yeah, I'm just going back to the
Everybody else
opening.
is good? I like the visuals. I appreciate them. Thank you for that.
No problem.
The lab courses you mentioned as part of our interventions, like if we're doing it, it's not, you said if we're doing this intervention, it's not working for this group of students, and now we can offer something else with Title I funding. Those are students without IEPs that need some extra help.
Yeah, so that is in our NJTSS. So you have to remember, when you have an identified student, their main intervention is their course placement, which has modifications and differentiation within it.
Right.
So our LLD and resource students do not get offered
Right.
On a first level in that. Sometimes on a one-off basis, there are reasons or necessities for that. But this is more of our tier 3 students. So these are kids going through the INRS process who are not classified, who may have been tested and not qualified for special ed services, but they're missing the mark in something. So we have to basically, we're at the point of like, what else in the kitchen sink can we put in there, because we've tried everything. So we're tweaking and
I
trying.
just want to say I appreciate that, because a lot of students do struggle and are on that line and fall through that crack, that group specifically. It's like, they don't need an IEP necessarily, they don't have a disability or other health impairment, whatever, but they're also behind, which, then.
And we also
I'm
realize-
preaching to the choir, it's more for the public, but affects their confidence, social, emotional, all these other things that then go along with it. So I'm very happy to see all these interventions we're doing to help our kiddos so they don't fall through the cracks.
And one of the big things at the middle school is taking a child out of an elective is hard enough for a marking period. We let them choose which elective. So like, I don't like art, I'm gonna pick art. Like, I don't wanna go to art. But at the same time, if you do that for year 1 and then year 2, and you're still not making those gains, why are we gonna put them in their 8th grade year and do that again? We have to try something else. Socially, they're not good at math and we're giving them 2 maths. Like,
Right.
that's not logical.
Makes sense.
So we're trying different things as much as we can.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you just said that too, because then here's the kid who may be struggling in math, and we're pulling them out of an elective where it is fun and they are being social to go do math. So
Right.
I appreciate you saying we let them choose, and because then they're behind in math, and now or in art, and now what?
Yeah.
So thank you. And
Okay.
then this is probably. Is it illegal to offer incentives to our test takers for science? Because it is so true. Like, I can't tell a 16-year-old anything, let alone to take a test seriously. And I know, like, I'm not saying like, oh, reports came out, now let's reward them. We can't do that. But is there something that we can do that's not necessary? I'm not going to say the word bribe, but like something, like a spirit day.
No,
Science spirit day. You would love that, Dr. Trubona.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Because I wrote it down, but I wasn't going to say it.
I will.
During some of our interviews, you learn little bits and pieces from what other districts are doing.
Yeah.
And motivational piece would have been like a pizza party for anybody who can demonstrate that they made an effort, or maybe a little bit of extra credit on one test, or a dunk tank for your principal, right? So,
I'm for it because it's only 3 grade levels. We can figure something. We definitely can look into being creative in that as we move forward. And I think if we incentivize our 8th grade and 11th grade science teachers also,
Yeah.
they can be playing that up and stuff. And
Yeah.
that's definitely something we can bring back to the admin team.
Okay.
the only concern I have is your data available
Right.
quick enough to reward? No, but maybe you can.
Well, they're basically all in the school the next year. So we have that by the start of the year. So we incentivize them that when they go into 9th grade, their 8th grade teachers can come up and they can dunk take them. As seniors, they can X, Y, and Z because it's 11th grade to seniors. So it'd be a great start pump to the
I
year
know
and
what
something
you're
like that.
saying. Like, it's not like, I know for younger kids, right, it needs to be immediate. Like, I did well, give me my reward. But I think for the older kids, those cohorts, like, it only take a year for them them to see what we're doing and get excited and be like, all right, I'm gonna do really well in this science test and try my best, because I know in September.
We'll put Spirit Week points to it. If you can
Yeah,
put Spirit Week
whatever,
points between the
anything.
freshmen and the seniors, right there,
Exactly.
you can get
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't know.
It's a discussion we can have. I mean,
I'm always about it.
I appreciate the ideas, and Kristen and I can go back and talk about it a little bit.
That's great.
If I can just say one last thing, I was just writing down some of the variables that contribute to how well these kids test, and when you talk about learning loss, social and emotional well-being, engaging students in the classroom, the wide variety of students that you're going to have in a classroom, because we have students that struggle and we have students that perform at a very high level. To be an educator nowadays is extremely difficult, and you know that I'm fairly new to the district, and what I'll say is that between the work that I've seen Kristen do, which she's like in the trenches with teachers all the time, making it work, and seeing the work that was done yesterday on our professional development day, all of our administrators contribute, and they're working with teachers and they're buying in. So we talk about the progress that's been made thus far. I'm really excited not only to be seeing that progress, but to be working with professionals like this that are like above and beyond dedicated. So I can't say enough about what they've done, and especially Dr. Trebona, she's gone above and beyond. So thank you.
Thank you.
You good?
Thank you very much.
I want to put my coat back on.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Moving on to committee and liaison reports, we'll start off with legislative. Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Mr. President. On October 1st, 2025, Governor Murphy signed the following bill into law. TPAF re-enrollment changes, A1675, S2078. This extends the length of time a member of the teacher's pension system, which is known as the Teacher's Pension Annuity Fund, can discontinue their service and still maintain their membership in the system. Under existing law, membership in the TPAF ceases if an individual discontinued service for more than 2 years. This law extends that period of discontinuation to 10 years. The law also extends the length of time a member who left service for certain qualifying reasons, for example, due to reduction in workforce, may return to service, and includes among the qualifying reasons those who voluntarily left service with 10 or more years of service credit. Under existing law, membership in the TPAF continues if such a member returns to service within a period of 10 years from the date of discontinuation from service. This new law extends the period of discontinuation to 15 years. Members who return to service under the terms of this law, including those who have already returned to service prior to the law's effective date, would be placed in the member's pension tier at the time of the original termination of service. The legislation will have no direct impact on school district finances, as the state pays the employer's share of TPAF costs on behalf of boards of education. The law explicitly states that there will be no additional contributions imposed on the re-enrolled members or the member's employer. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Finance Administration, Mr. Cleo.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met last week. There were several items on the agenda, including motion items on this agenda, which we reviewed. You'll notice that the motion items on this agenda, F1 and F2, are for aged financial reports. These are the Secretary of Treasurer's report. Sandy and her office are getting caught up on reconciling these reports. In the past, these reports were being signed off by our BA and our superintendent. Going forward, they're going to be signed by the BA, Sandy, and our treasurer. This provides an extra set of eyes, and in the case of the knowledgeable treasurer, an additional resource for the BA's office. Our treasurer is the City of Pasake's Chief Financial Officer, Omar Garcia. Also on the agenda was Advocate. As you remember, we hired Advocate prior to Sandy and Mr. Minelli joining the board. They're evaluating the value add that they provide to the district. Advocate thus far has secured a guaranteed revenue from Comptonian in the amount of $20,000, something which we haven't had in the past. Also, the food service is going to be audited. It gets audited every 3 years. And again, the BA's office is going to evaluate how much of any assistance Advocate provides. The 24-25 audit, our yearly audit, is soon to take place. We also discussed the financial impact of the buildings and grounds restructuring, those positions that you're going to see in the buildings and grounds agenda. Basically, it's, once you factor in overtime, it's pretty much a wash from a financial perspective. Also on the agenda was Bear Cave. Bear Cave is a unique program to Passaic County. As far as we know, is the only program in the county. Something that Sandy and Mr. McMillan are doing, they're evaluating the program just to get a better idea as to like the, how many, something I want to find out is how many out-of-district students we would need to break even if we're able to find ourselves in a year without any internal students. Something that's positive about the Bear Cave, besides the fact that it keeps our students home, is that it provides an income generating program for the district. There's not too many that the district has, so this one is one of those few ones. And that's it. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Mr. Doyle, Buildings, Grounds, and Policy, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Buildings and Grounds did meet on October 7th. We had a couple items on the agenda. First being that we had Solutions, our architect, come to the meeting, and we spent the bulk of the meeting going over basically a punch list from the referendum. We had approximately 14 items that we're still looking to get completed. Some are minor, some are a little bit more entailed. But Solutions was there to go over everything with us in detail, explain it, and reassure us that those items are going to be taken care of in a timely manner. Additionally, we also had our first rendering of the facilities, our athletic complex upgrade. So we had a 3D color diagram drawn up of some potential items that this board may look to enhance in the future. So it was nice to see that and start seeing it on paper and what it could possibly look like. That took up the bulk of the meeting. There was a security item on the agenda as well we really didn't get to talk about, but I did follow up with Mr. Mignonelli the next day, and he explained to me how they did a security walkthrough through the district, interacting with our security officers and just doing a general walkthrough. They identified some areas where potentially it could be beneficial to add some cameras, and he also told us that specifically at the high school, the swiping in and swiping out process that the students are using, and an extra area, additional area that's been added, seems to be working out very good. We're going to continue that security conversation at the next meeting, and that pretty much wrapped up Buildings and Grounds. And nothing to report for policy, as we did not meet. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you. Ms. Ehrentraut, Council Liaison Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we last met, there have been a few really great community events. We had Hawthorne Day, we had Hispanic Heritage celebration in town, and a few highlights from the mayor and the council. Currently, it's the Hawthorne Chamber of Commerce's Restaurant Week from last Saturday through this Saturday, so encouraging the community to check out our local restaurants, delis, bakeries, and support the businesses in town. Also on Saturday, October 25th, the borough's hosting a safety vest giveaway for adults and for pets at the municipal building. There's a reminder that on Thursday, October 30th, the mayor's Halloween parade will take place at Roosevelt. And lastly, at the October 1st council meeting, the county commissioners were there, and Hawthorne received a pretty big sum, I think over $125,000 to update the fields at WAG, so that's exciting for the community. And our next council meeting will be Wednesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. And regarding personnel, we did not meet, and I will save my comments for that part of the agenda. Thank you.
Mrs. Goff, C&I.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Curriculum Instruction Committee met last Tuesday at 6:15 in the high school media center. The first thing that we discussed was the immense undertaking Dr. Tribona and her team did to satisfy the mandate that the state put on us about the early literacy testing that needed to be done. So the New Jersey Department of Education mandates that this is new for this year. Every K through 3 student be administered a universal screener twice annually. So Dr. Trebona and her team, her basic skills teachers, and Miss Irene Yetter and herself all conducted those assessments in a 2-day period. It was a total of 650 students, which is an amazingly Herculean task to pull off in any event. I mean, it's unbelievable, and we are greatly appreciative for that. The data is now being analyzed for below-level indicators, which will prompt a dyslexia screener for those students. The teams will continue to use those data points to target skills and interventions within the BSI and multisensory programs that are offered. Parents will receive these reports within the mandated 30-day period of time, as per the state. The second thing that we talked about was something Mr. Mignonelli shared already, which was the NJSLA adaptive field test. This will be occurring on the 27th through the 30th. All students in grades 4 through 11 will take the ELA test. All students in grade 4 through 12 will take the math test. The reading and math sections will be 60 minutes each, and the full 120-minute writing section will be administered this fall as well. Again, the district will not receive that data, so it's not something that would be sent home or shared. The district won't receive the data either. It's purely for the purposes of data mining for the state. We also got a brief prelude to this wonderful presentation. There were some of the presentation materials that were shared with us briefly. We also got in 1A timeline update. So 1A is that advanced track of courses that will be offered for LMS in all 4 core subjects over the course of the next several years. There will be a parent night held in the winter. It was brought up about the academic study coordinator position, which at the high school we had hoped would start on October 1st, but we were unable to find a candidate to fulfill that position, so they are still on the hunt for that candidate, and we are hopeful to find somebody soon. And we also discussed potentially doing a STEM night for elementary students to attract them to this building, to get them into these doors. Additionally, it was brought up by myself, just something as a point of reference. We reviewed the agenda during that time as well, and I just shared with Mr. Mignonelli that in the past there were dates on the field trip approval, but we understand why they've been taken away. Dr. Sprito had suggested we take them away because for the safety of our students and our staff, we don't want people knowing where our staff and where our students are going on these field trips on one specific day. Thank you, Mr. Mignonelli and Ms. Kelly. I did see in the folder, it does share with the board a separate list of the field trips with the actual date. This is just for purposes of us knowing, are we post-dating, are we pre-dating? Because, and again, I will speak for myself, but I would rather the students go on the trip, and if we need to be proactive or reactive, but just so we know, did this already happen, how far in advance, etc. Thank you though, because I did find it in the folder, so thank you for listening to that feedback. And that is all.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Morgan Colson, NJSBA and PCSBA.
So for NJSBA, the workshop is finally on Monday, so you don't have to hear me talk about it ever again for a whole year. So it's Monday to Thursday this month. So we will be going to represent Hawthorne Public School Districts, and I'm very excited. For Passaic County School Board Association, we met on September 30th at Mario's in Clifton. The meeting was great. They did a Q&A. They zoomed in, Assemblywoman Rosie Bagoli. And it was really nice. The meeting was hybrid, so you didn't have to go, you could do it online. But we did a Q&A with her. She had questions in advance, some that people emailed, and then she answered them on the spot. It was very informative. She listened to all of our feedback, and I really enjoyed it. And the next meeting, obviously because of 10/20 at NJSBA's workshop, but then after that, it will be hybrid on December 8th. So, hybrid on December 8th, so mark your calendars. So you can either go to Manchester High School in Hilden, or you can log in online. And then I just wanted to do save the date because our Unsung Heroes date has been announced, which is always a great event. Jen and I and Dr. Sprito went last year to support our student Mark. But that'll be March 25, 2026. They have not announced the location yet, that's to be decided, but at least we have a date, so, you know, because we always get busy that time of year. But that's it, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Palouse, have CPAC PTOs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Washington School has their PTO meeting tonight, and their next two meetings will be November 11th and December 9th. They're also working on a trunk or treat, which I think all the schools are working on right now, but they are looking for anyone willing to donate bags of candy. So if we know anybody, please think about getting them to Washington School to help out. Moving on to Lincoln Middle School, they set a goal this year for a $30,000 fundraiser. There's various events coming up in October. I think the main one we will discuss is Laps for Lincoln. They've done it in the past, but this year it's going to have a theme for a Ninja Warrior. They're asking that each student try to raise at least $25 to participate. So if you know anybody in Lincoln School, please consider donating some money towards their 25 or more donations so we can hit this goal. The money that is being raised, they're looking to put a LED sign in front of Lincoln School, and the cost will be for its construction and the electric installation and the cost to run the sign, as well as a BMX assembly that is being planned as well, and class trips. So again, this donation, if they can hit their goal of $30,000, will go a long way for Lincoln Middle School. Moving on to Roosevelt. Roosevelt School this Saturday from 11 to 2 p.m. is having an extravaganza. It's not just for Roosevelt School's kids. All kids that are throughout the district are welcome to go. And entry is free. There's going to have snacks, games, inflatable obstacle course, face painting, and a lot more. If you go onto their Facebook page, there is a form you can complete, but it's due tomorrow, so you may not be eligible for the bundle. But all these items that I'm going to mention are a la carte. So if you go to the event, again, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday on the Blacktop, you can buy each one of these items separately if you want. But if you can fill out the form, it's a $20 bundle, and it will cover a pumpkin, decorating supplies, apple cider or water, an apple cider donut, a goodie bag, and face painting. So again, that sounds like a really good event. And also, there's a raffle going on, 10 tickets for $5. Winner need not be present. And I do have permission to say Anu Verma is collecting the raffle ticket money. So if you want to, you can text her. Again, you can reach out on Facebook, but text 610-223-6751. Text or call her if you're interested in 10 tickets for $5. And moving on to one of my favorite things to always report, way in advance, but the Hawthorne CPAC 8th Annual 5K Color Run Walk. Again, it's going to be May 3rd. There's going to be early registrations. I just will continue to report that, again, May 3rd, 2026. It seems like it's so long, so far away, but put it on your calendar. And they are also looking for any type of sponsors. So if you have a business or something that you would like to help out, they're looking for sponsors. And then we will flip back over, if I can figure out my notes here, to the high school PTO. The high school PTO, thank you, drum roll please. The high school PTO this Thursday has their meeting. If you are interested in buying an H magnet for your car or H car fresheners, please reach out, either attend the meeting this Thursday or reach out to someone and purchase some of these items. And I think lastly, I will wrap up with The Ed Foundation, HEF is gonna continue to sell raffle tickets, and again, if you recall from last year, and I mentioned it last week, the raffle tickets are $10 a piece. The drawing will be December 10th, and it's for a big basket filled with a bouquet of $1,500 worth of various different gift cards. So again, it's a good holiday gift for $10. I usually hit, they're right here, so if anybody's interested in buying them. I also will post a few times on my own Facebook page and give you the opportunity to, Venmo me, and then I will send you back a copy of your raffle ticket. So we do have a lot of events that are coming up, and I believe that concludes my report. Thank you. Thank you.
On to action items, curriculum and instruction. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommend the following resolutions. CI 1 on page 3, carried over onto page 4. CI 2 through CI 8 on page 4. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ehrenstraub. Discussion?
Comment? Glad to see that we're doing that field trip to the New York Jets Atlantic Health Jets Training Center for the business students. This is the second time we're doing it, so glad to see that that's there again.
I'll reserve my comments on the Jets.
I'll second that.
It wasn't an athletic performance, it was a business field trip.
Erica?
I just want to mention our HHS trade classes at Universal Technical Institute. My son recently graduated from UTI, and it's a great school. It's pretty much brand new, and they offer courses that you can't get in any other technical school in the state, because we looked into it. For example, diesel technician, diesel mechanic. So I just want to mention that. And also, I have a question about CI 8. Is that like an additional week we added because the student needed an extra week? Didn't we approve that, and now we're just adding a week? That's what I'm trying to ask.
So that
Sorry.
student is awaiting residential,
Okay,
so that's why the extra
we
week.
just had to add an extra week. Okay, thank you so much.
Seeing no other discussions, roll call, please.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey-Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrentraub?
Yes.
Mr. Dotaro?
Yes. First item, Ms. Ehrentraub.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. P1 through P6 on page 5, P7 through P17 on page 6, P18 through P23 on page 7, and P24 through P27 on page 8. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Second by Dr. Vega. Discussion?
I'm P20, just, we've been fortunate to have good security officers over the years, including Jeff Benhook, so just want to wish him well.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just want to comment again on P24. I am so unbelievably thrilled with this robust list of student field experience members. I don't, again, last month we had a really amazing list, I believe, from PCCC. This list looks like it's coming from, is at Montclair State University, and also to a couple other ones. Like, I don't remember seeing lists this long in a very long time. So I hope that this is optimistic about the profession, and it seems like we're building good relationships with these universities, and that's always amazing to see, but it's just really, really refreshing to see.
Ditto to Ms. Goff's comments. I was going to comment on that as well. Also, there are some new hires, so as always, like to welcome them to the district, and always like to see, I think, P16 and P17 volunteers. So our volunteer wrestling coaches, thank you so much for stepping up and volunteering to be part of our athletic program.
Thank you.
Jen and Abby stole my comments. advisors at the middle school. I wish I could join. Mr. Tenke is always fabulous. I think they're splitting the year, which is great, and I'm thankful for that. And then, again, just to comment on what Abby said about all of these future educators coming to observe our teachers, a lot of them, and special shout out to inclusion class. Someone's gonna come observe our Roosevelt School inclusion class, which I think Hawthorne does phenomenally, and we don't see that ever. So yay, special ed and inclusion. I don't think I've ever seen on an agenda since I've been stalking the Board of Ed meetings, so I am very excited about that.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aarontrau?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes. All right, Finance Administration, Mr. Cleo.
Thank you, Mr. President. On page 9, action items pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions, F1 and F2. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carr. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aarontrau?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes. All right, back to Ms. Aaron claims.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was my month to review the bills. In accordance with NJAC 6A:23-2:11B, C3, and C4, I have reviewed the October 2025 bill list, and it is recommended that the board approve the bills for this month. So on behalf of reviewing, I so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cleo. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aarontrau?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes. All right, moving on to Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions, bottom of page 9 in BG1, carrying over to page 10, BG2, and BG3. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Vega. Discussion. Yes.
I would like to thank Mr. Mininelli and Mrs. McCallie for listening to me on this one as well, and adding the fees section to the permit use, so now we can see very clearly for whomever's applying, is it something that is fee-based or not, so thank you again. And also thank you for annotating that we do not want cars down on the property. It is very difficult to navigate down there when practices are going on, a lot of people down there. We were down there doing the tour, and we were ourselves having to jump from side to side of that driveway to navigate cars who were down there. So thank you for that as well.
And to piggyback on that, it's also ruining our blacktop. Cars shouldn't be driven down that at all, period. And, so yeah, I agree. For BG2, it says a field trip, but then the date is a school year, 54 passengers. So I guess I don't know what that's for.
It's a contract for busing for field trips, so it's for the school year.
Any field
Any
trip
field
throughout the school year.
Yes.
So when we write 54 passengers, I'm assuming that's what it can hold.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more
Size bus.
I was like, wow, it's really specific for the entire school year. Okay, I understand. So we're just using that company to help us out
Yes,
with field trips throughout the year?
correct.
So then I would okay, so per route, got it. That's, to and from that
Yes.
2,000? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've never seen that.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aarontrau?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Multi-Colton?
Yes.
Mr. Palooz?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes. All right, back to you, Mr. Doyle, policy.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Committee on Policy recommends the following resolutions. Bottom of page 10, we have PO1, and it carries over to the top of page 11. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Aarontrout. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aarontrau?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Multi-Colton?
Yes.
Mr. Palooz?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes. All right. Public be heard. At this time, members of the public may ask questions or make comments on educational issues or school matters. No? All right.
Stay behind.
All right. Seeing none, we move on to our general comments, new business or old business. As always, please state which one it is. And since Mr. Palooz does not like starting first, this time I'll go to Ms. Mulkey-Colton.
Okay, so, to start, I would just like to say congratulations again to Miss Sherry. She was my son's speech therapist at the preschool when inclusion class, when it was up in the church in Wyckoff, and I just absolutely loved her. I always talk about it, but he went in not speaking, and he came out he never stopped speaking, and I just owe it to her. Her Miss Sherry and Miss Carrie, were just amazing, had so much patience, and I just remember bringing them in. They're only babies at 3 years old, and he was nonverbal, and he came out, and again, it's just so nice. And then they did a graduation ceremony, and she's been with us 25 years, and I'm so grateful to have her here still. She's an amazing speech therapist, and like Mr. McNally said, she does so much more. She goes above and beyond for her students. So thank you. And then thank you to Dr. Gervona and the presentation. And also that testing, those universal screeners, when he gave the amount of tests you gave in 48 hours, I almost fell off my chair. I can't even imagine what that was like for you. So I apologize, but also thank you. And then just thank you again to the volunteer coaches that are on tonight's agenda. And happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Well, Erica said everything I was going to say, so.
You
No,
say
wait,
that every month.
just kidding.
I know.
Dr. Trebona, thank you for your informative presentation. It shows that we're moving the district in the right direction, and thank you for you and all the work that you and your team did. Thank you.
General comments, same comments, thank you to Dr. Trebona. Being able to stand up here and not only take the brunt of all of our stats, but being able to answer each and every one of our questions so informed and eloquently shows your passion for not only what you do, but for our district, so thank you.
Couple general comments. Nice to see that the district's continuing to move forward with our educational achievements, as was very nicely displayed tonight, so thank you for all your work, Dr. Trebona. We'd like to extend congratulations on a buildings and grounds level to our Manny Vittorioso, his promotion to Director of Facilities, and to our Jim Bertolo on his promotion to the Assistant Facility Supervisor. And then I'd also like to extend a personal thank you to Jim Bertolo. He goes out of his way every year, and didn't disappoint again this year, to stencil the breast cancer pink ribbons out on the football field. So not just for football, but all of our fall sports, for football, soccer, and lacrosse. It's just nice to see it out there. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I know it will always have a special place in my heart, and I know it does for Jim as well, and as it does to many of our community members, so thank you to him, and thanks for the support.
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
A couple of general comments. Kudos to El Alberta for the enthusiastic work that she's doing. Also, just want to remind the public that it's election year, and while there's only 3 candidates for 3 seats, nevertheless, it's important to keep the Board of Education top of mind, not only because it takes the lion's share of the property taxes. Needless to say, it's in charge of the education in the district, but also there's a direct correlation between the quality of your schools and the equity that you have in your real estate. So just keep that top of mind. And last but not least, want to thank Ms. McCallie and her office for all the catch-up work that she's doing. It's not fun to take somebody else's checkbook over. Nevertheless, the district's budget and old systems, new systems, catch-up work. So there's a lot behind the scenes that her office is doing that we're appreciative of.
Mrs. Gao.
These are general comments. I just want to start by saying I saw Dr. Sprito working the snack stand at the game last Friday. He looks 10 years younger, but he does send his love to everyone. He was working there on behalf of the Booster Club, which he's a part of. He will be at NJSBA, the conference, so I want to thank those who are able to go on our behalf. The nature of my job, if I were to take that time off, nobody does my work for me when I'm gone. So ultimately, it's difficult for me to take off any sort of time like that. So thank you to those who are going, and I look forward to hearing about the exciting things that you learn when you're there. I'd also like to invite everybody to the last football home game, which will be this Friday, 6 o'clock at the Hawthorne High School field versus Weehawken. It's a pink out, so come wear your pink and support the Hawthorne Bears. And I'd like to make a statement. I don't have this on 100% authority that it's true, but I did hear that some students returned or are returning from PCTI, some freshman students today, possibly this week, and I would like to just remind the general public that you are always welcome back at any point in time. If it does not work out where you are, we are like the Statue of Liberty. We will take you, we welcome you back. We want you to have a place here in Hawthorne. We wish you well where you are, but it is, our doors are always open. So that's encouraging to hear that. That once a bear, always a bear, absolutely. That people do come back home. And that is it.
Thank you. Ms. Sarah Trust.
2 quick general comments. One, to correct what I stated before, so I don't know how this fits in, but the next council meeting is actually tomorrow. I think I said it was until November, that's the following one, so correcting my remarks. And then 2, for the buildings and grounds, for the facility use form, I know it's there, it's easy to find, our new website is updated, we all know where it is. People in the community have reached out. Is it something that maybe we can share with the PTOs, or when groups get to schools and groups get together, that it exists, that it's there, that it's an option? I know we've talked about it to potentially gain some income, but also just so people are more aware that we use it. Just an idea, suggestion, comment that I just thought of when Mr. Doyle was, reading on the agenda. So just an idea, just throwing it out there to be discussed in the future.
Mr. Bluth, last but not least.
Just reiterate what everybody said. Dr. Carbona, thank you for what you do. You do a tremendous job presenting, and I feel like we learn a lot every time you get up and speak. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Can I say one more thing?
Nope.
That's it.
I yield my time.
Music is playing in the background. To Ms. Ehrentraut's point, and this has evolved over the years, but if you are a rec team, you have to be submitting your applications for field use through rec. So it's not something that you do like team by team. It is all through rec, and rec submits them to us on your behalf. Just to clarify.
Yes, and just elaborate, so yes, you could still do it. If you're not a part of rec organization,
Sure.
that would go through the Board of Education, but good point on both counts, so appreciate you mentioning that. And actually, someone else that I saw, a familiar face in town, who says hello to everybody, Mr. Reicher. Happened to see him the other day, and he sent his hellos to everybody. So. More on general comments again. Dr. Javona, as everybody shared, every year. I genuinely appreciate it. I've been that parent year over year, hoping to see the progress and waiting alongside you to see that, come to fruition. And being that I started 7 years ago, and to see what's happened over 7 years, I greatly appreciate all the strides that we've made and all the effort that you put into this, and along with your administrative team. So it doesn't go unnoticed, and greatly appreciate it. And then last but not least, I just want to share, because I think Mr. Clevio mentioned it, the Alberta family, especially Ella, year over year, they always just do an incredible job on raising funds for the cause. But if you don't know, on October 25th, Ella's Army will be walking in, I believe it's in Morristown, which occurs every year. It's October 25th at 5 p.m. I'm sure if you need any further information about it, feel free to reach out to me and I will share it with you. So it's always great to see. Other than that, that's it. But Ms. Earnshaw had something else over there. All right, that being said, we have private session tonight. Be resolved that the Hawthorne Board of Education convenes an executive session to discuss exempt matters pertaining to a matter rendered confidential by federal or state law. Be it further resolved that if it is anticipated that executive session will be for 45 minutes in duration and that public action may or may not be taken. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be made available upon a determination by the board that the disclosure of the minutes will not detrimentally affect any right of interest of the board and the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
I got a little caught up there because we don't have the box separated for private meeting tonight, so I apologize. There's not, on the board meeting, it's not separated, it only has for adjourned, so I apologize if I misread it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Earnshaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Multi-Pilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo? Mr. Picaro?
Yes.